Good afternoon, everyone. Today's class we are going to learn about Ashoka, the emperor who gave up. See, let us discuss about a very big kingdom, an empire. A very big kingdom, an empire. See, the lines that we see on our notes and coins have a long history. I think you all of you knows that, so we are using our nation currency. Understood? For example, so we are using our nation currencies. Even we are using the coins also. Understood now? So there we can see that what we can see on currency on coins. So there is a, for example, you see this. So this is our currency. Here we can see the four headline. Of course, then don't ask me, sir, we are able to see only these three head, and what about one? Actually, it is there, it is in the back side. So that's why we are unable to see which is the back side. So that's what on coins and as well as on currencies. So we are actually looking, for example, even in the coins also. What is this now? The lines. The forehead lines. See, these lines have a long history. A long history. They were carved in stone. They were carved in stone and placed on top of a massive stone pillar. ಸೊ ಅದ್ಭುತವಾಗಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಕಾರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸೊ ಒಂದು ಮ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಸ್ಟೋನ್ ಪಿಲ್ಲರ್ ಟಾಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಸ್ಥಾಪಿಸಲಾಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ವೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ನೌ? ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ದಿಸ್ pillar, stone pillar at Sarnath. Understood? So about this, we are learn of course the Sarnath symbol and all. ನಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾರು ನೆನಪಾಗ್ತಾರೆ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಈ ಒಂದು ಫೋರ್ ಹೆಡ್ ಲೈನ್ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ, then after observing, so it has actually os and then the Ashoka Chakra. So Ashoka Chakra ಅಂತಾನೆ ಕರಿತೀವಿ ನಾವು, the wheel which is there. Understood? So ನಮಗೆ ನೆನಪಾಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ರೂಲರ್ ಆಫ್ ಅವರ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ, the great emperor of our country, the great king of our country, the great Ashoka. See, Ashoka was one of the greatest ruler, was known to history and on his inscriptions and were inscribed on pillars. So there were so many information about Ashoka available. His inscriptions were inscribed on his pillars. On his pillars means he was actually inscribed on pillars, as well as on rock surfaces. So on pillars and as well as on rock surfaces. So before we find out what was written in these inscriptions, so let us see why his kingdom was called an empire. So his kingdom, the Ashoka's kingdom, it was called an empire. Why? See, the empire that Ashoka ruled was founded by his grandfather. So anybody, can you guess who was the grandfather of Ashoka? Chandragupta Maurya. So Ashoka's grandfather was Chandragupta Maurya. Getting now? See, actually Chandragupta Maurya, he was ruled more than 2300 years ago. More than 2300 years ago. This was well known as Mauryan dynasty. So Chandragupta, he was supported by a wise man. Anybody can you guess who was well known as Chanakya or Kautilya? See, he was one of the wise man who supported Chandragupta Maurya to establish Mauryan dynasty. Understood now? See, many of Chanakya's ideas, many of Chanakya's ideas that were written down in a book which was called as, I think you all of knows that, Arthashastra. So Arthashastra, it was composed by or written by Chanakya or Kautilya. So many of his ideas. So many of Chanakya's ideas were written in the book Arthashastra. Getting these students. See, there were several cities in the empire. There were several cities in the empire. There were so many. Understood? So even you can observe page number 68 and map number 5. So where and all, almost all the Ashoka's instances were found almost North India, southern part of India, and even eastern and western part of India. So the maximum. So here, these included the capital Pataliputra, Takshila, and Ujjain. So Pataliputra, it was the capital city of Mauryan dynasty. Takshila, it was a gateway to the northwest. Takshila, it was a gateway to the northwest, including Central Asia. So while Ujjain lay on the route from the north to south India. So even the merchants, officials, and craft persons probably lived in these cities. The most of the merchants, officials, and craft persons were so lived in these cities. Understood? So in other areas, so there were villages of farmers and herders. In other areas, there were villages of farmers and herders. So in some areas, such as central India, there were forests. Understood. So there were forests where people gathered forest produce and hunted animals for food, especially in central India. So there were forests where forest people gathered forest produce and hunted animals for food. So people in different parts of the empire, they were spoke different languages. So in the different parts of the empire, the people they were spoke different languages. They probably ate different kinds of food also and wore different kinds of clothes as well also. Getting dear students. So the people in different parts of the empire spoke different languages and they ate different kinds of food and they wore different kinds of clothes. Now let us discuss about how are empires different from kingdoms. What are the differentiate between an empire and a kingdom? See, emperors need more resources than kings. Please keep it in your mind. Emperors need more resources than kings because empires are larger than kingdoms. Getting dear students, the major difference between kingdom and an empire, so that was actually an empires are larger than a kingdoms and needed to be protected by big armies also. So, also they need a large number of officials who collect tax because it's a larger than kingdoms. So that's why. So this is not the major difference between an empire and kingdom. Getting dear students. So compared to kingdom, an empire is a larger and even so it needed to be protected by big armies. That means so it is essential to maintain the big armies also, and even it requires the more number of officials who collect taxes also. And also emperors need more resources than kings. Getting these students. Now let us discuss about ruling the empire. Ruling the empire. Ruling the empire. See, as the empire was so large, different parts were ruled differently. So, as you know that empires are larger than kingdoms. Understood now? So, the large empire ruled in a different parts in a different way. So the area around the Pataliputra was under the direct control of the emperor. So the Pataliputra, it was the capital city, and the area under the, I mean the around the Pataliputra, the area around the Pataliputra, so that was under the direct control of the emperor. So this means that officials were appointed to collect taxes. Understood. So officials were appointed to collect taxes. From whom they needs to be collected taxes now? So officials needs to be collected taxes from farmers, herders, crowd persons and traders. So the officials who were appointed by the emperor, so they were collected taxes from farmers, herders and crowd persons and also traders. See, who lived in villages and towns in the area, officials also punished those who disobeyed the ruler's order. Getting now? So even officials also punished those who disobeyed, those who were not followed the orders of the rulers. So many of these officials, they were given salaries. So many of these officials were given salaries. So messengers went to and fro, and spies kept a watch on the officials. So this is very much, I think even in the present days also in different countries, almost all the countries they are following and they are having their own system of this, what we call the spies, Gudachar. Guda, like agents. Okay, for example, in our country, Ra is there. Okay, RAW, Ra. So, ಆ ಒಂದು ಗೂಢಾಚಾರ್ಯ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗಳು ಸಹ ಇರ್ತವೆ. ಅವರು ಆ ಒಂದು ಮೆಸೆಂಜರ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಗೂಢಾಚಾರಗಳು ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಆ ಅಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ಸ್ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಜನಗಳ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಡೇ ಟು ಡೇ ವರದಿಯನ್ನ, ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಅವರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ the officials, they were watched by the spies. And of course, the emperor supervised them all. The emperor supervised them all with the help of members of the royal family. So even everyone, so they were actually supervised by the ruler. So with the help of the royal family and senior ministers, the senior ministers and the members of the royal family. So with the help of the senior ministers and the royal family members, so the emperor supervised everyone, the officials and as well as the crew and spies, all are supervised by the emperor with the help of members of the royal family and as well as with the help of senior ministers also. So there were other areas or provinces. See, each of these was ruled from a provincial capital such as Takshila or Butcha. Although there was some amount of control from Pataliputra. Even though, so there was actually some of the amount of control from the capital city of the emperor, the despot. And royal princes were often sent as governors. The royal princes, they were often sent as governors. Local customs and rules were probably followed. See, besides these were vast areas between these centers. Here the Mauryas tried to control roads and rivers, which were important for transport. The Mauryans, so they were tried to control roads and rivers also. See, the roads and rivers were important for transport and to collect whatever resources were available as a tax and tribute. For example, the Arthashastra tells us that the northwest was important for blankets. The northwest was important for blankets, and South India for its gold and precious stones. So the South India famous for its gold and precious stones. It is possible that these resources were collected as tribute. These resources were collected as tribute. What is the meaning of tribute? So, tribute means unlike taxes, which were collected on a regular basis. Which were collected on a regular basis, unlike taxes. Tribute was collected as and when it was possible from people who gave a variety of things more or less willingly. Understood now? More or less willingly. So this used to call as a tribute or tribute. Okay. See, there were also the forested regions. There were also the forested regions. So people living in these areas, people living in these areas were more or less independent, but may have been expected to provide elephants, timber, honey, and wax to the Mauryan officials. Getting dear students. So, in the forest regions, people living more or less independent, but even though they may have been expected to provide elephants, timber, honey, and wax to Mauryan officials. Got it, dear students? Now, let us discuss about Ashoka, a unique ruler. Let us discuss about Ashoka, a unique ruler. Ashoka, a unique ruler. The most famous Mauryan ruler was Ashoka. He was the first ruler who tried to take his message, to the people through inscriptions. Getting these students. So he was the first ruler who tried to take his message to the people through inscriptions. So most of the Ashokan's inscriptions were in Prakrit and were written in the Brahmi script. Understood? Actually, was the first ruler who tried to take his messages to the people. So through inscriptions. So the most of the inscriptions were written in Prakrit. Got it, dear students? Ashokan inscriptions were written in Prakrit and were written in the Brahmi script. Written in the Brahmi script. Now, let us discuss about Ashoka's war in Kalinga. Ashoka's war in Kalinga. Ashoka's war in Kalinga. See, Kalinga is the ancient name of coastal Orissa. Getting dear students. So, Kalinga, it is actually the ancient name of coastal Orissa. Ashoka fought a war to conquer Kalinga. You all knows that the Kalinga war, which was influenced and turned Ashoka's life in a different way. So this was the last war of the Ashoka. So Ashoka fought a war to conquer Kalinga. However, he was so horrified when he saw the violence and bloodshed that he decided not to fight any more wars. So this was the last war for the Ashoka. And after this war, after when he was observed that it is so horrified, and when he was saw the violence and bloodshed, and after Ashoka he was decided not to fight any more wars in future. He is the only king in the history of the world who gave up conquest after winning a war. We never seen like this example throughout the world history. So Ashoka, only the king in the history of the world who gave up war, who gave up conquest after winning a war. Getting these students. Now, the Kalinga war, it was became the last war in Ashoka's life. Getting dear students. Now, the next we are going to learn about the Ashoka's Dhamma. In the next class, we are going to learn about Ashoka's Dhamma. What was the Ashoka's Dhamma? So, regarding this, we are going to learn in the next class. Thank you. Have a nice day.